All right, so in this video, I'm gonna share with you the exact path that I have used to make my first $1 million online. And I'm gonna share with you the number one skill that I was able to develop and to learn that made this all happen. Now, let me just be clear, this was not an overnight success, but I was able to make my first dollar, then make my first $1,000, then make my first $100,000. So I've graduated to being able to make $1 million. Actually, $1.7 million to be exact in one calendar year. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Oh, here's another video of a guy saying that he did $1 million and he's probably going to drive around in a Lamborghini and show me all of these really hot girls. And well, that's not the case because I'm a 51-year-old man and I've been married for 29, going on 30 years, and I'm happily married and I don't own a Lamborghini. But I felt like I needed to shoot this video because this is my story about hard work. But also, I wanted this to be a video that I would give my younger self as far as advice, or my 25-year-old son. And now that I am 51 years old, you can probably say, I got a little bit of wisdom. Now, I am going to share with you the number one skill, but more importantly, I am going to share with you what I would do if I was to start over today, and actually what I am doing today. I'm going to actually share with you that at the end. But it's really important that we understand what that skill is. So what is that number one skill, Scott? Well, I'm glad you asked. It's this. It is building an audience. Now, I know that sounds really, really generic and really, really obvious, but there is more to it. And I have been doing this for years, and I have adjusted things and tweaked things, and that's what I want to break down here in this video. So building an audience, if there's one thing that I could tell you, or that I could tell my son, or I could tell a good friend of mine, it is this: focus on building an audience and the money will follow. It is true. And there's ways that we can do it now quicker than I was doing it back in 2009. Building audiences has made me millions of dollars online over the last decade. And it's kind of weird to even say that out loud because I'm a guy that never went to college, didn't do good in high school, and just didn't feel really smart. But if you're willing to put in the work, it is possible for anyone to make 6 figures, 7 figures online. But there is one major thing that has to happen before you even set out to start building that audience in order to make it really work. And that is, you need to choose a niche. And I'm going to give you an example of kind of how I graduated from my very first time of building an audience. So a little story time with Scott. Going all the way back to 2001, yeah, all the way back then, my wife and I opened a photography studio. And that was the first time we started to build an audience. Now, this was a local audience, but this was a customer base that came back to our studio over and over and over again. We did family photography. So every year, people would come in for Christmas pictures, Easter pictures, or they might just do a first communion. So we built an audience of about 500 customers. And over the years, those customers kept paying us over and over again. So now that I had a little bit experience with marketing, I decided to start building an audience online all the way back in 2009. I posted my first YouTube video and I started helping people with photography because that's what I knew. And after I was publishing videos on YouTube for about 6 months, building an audience on YouTube, I also was building my email list because I learned in my first endeavor with the audience building that building an email list was really, really powerful. So I took that lesson and I applied it to the online space. And now what I did was I was able to communicate with my audience through YouTube and through an email list. And that is where I generated my first $12,500 from one single product. I created a course on photography and Photoshop and sold that out in 3 days. And that was life-changing for me. And once I saw the power of building an audience, what did I do? I kept building the audience. And for 7 years, I ran that online photography business. And it did very, very well for us. We were able to do 6 figures plus every single year. Now, from there, I was also starting in around 2015, dabbling in another business model, which you might have heard of, which was Amazon FBA. This is where we were doing private labeling. And what I decided to do when I started to get a little bit of success, I started a podcast. And that podcast was me just sharing what I was doing. Now, I was doing this because I knew that if I was able to build an audience like I had done in the past, the money will follow. And I recorded 56 podcast episodes without monetizing, without making a dime. And then from there, that took off. And that is where I made my first $1 million back in 2016. Now, that again is life changing, but I also realized it's not just about the $1 million. It's about what did I learn from that? What kind of life did I want? What kind of business did I want? Because once you understand what is possible, then you can create the business that you truly love and the one that you're going to want to do for years and years. And if you want a real example here in 2023 or whenever you're watching this, well, this video is part of me building an audience. And this audience is being built on YouTube. And I have an email list and I have a blog. So all of these different ways to get attention are audience building assets. And that's exactly what I'm doing here. So if you want to see how I'm doing it, you might want to subscribe to this channel. You might want to watch more of my videos because I am here to help first and then we monetize later. And there's a variety of different ways that you can do it. Now, as I promised in the beginning, I want to share with you or my younger self or my 25-year-old son what I would do to build an audience in today's world in 2023 or whenever you're watching this. And this is what I would do. I would start by picking my niche, but then I would go and start publishing videos on YouTube because YouTube is a great platform to be able to get in front of people and be one-on-one with that other person on the other side of this lens. And being able to make that connection is huge. And the other thing is YouTube is way easier now than it was back in the day because it's not just a search platform, it's a discovery platform. So once you start watching some of my content or someone else's, you're gonna start getting recommendations of that person's other videos. And then from there, you start to build subscribers, but you also are able to start monetizing very, very quickly. And all you need to monetize on YouTube is, well, 500 subscribers and 3,000 watch hours and 3 videos published in 90 days. That's it. And then you can start earning money. Way easier than it was when I started back in 2009. Way easier. So that's what I would do. And I would just focus on that and I would serve the audience and monetization will follow. And all I would do is show up consistently and serve the audience and really build a deep connection with that audience. Because once I do that, guess what? If I recommend a product, you're probably going to go check it out. I'll have sponsors that will want to get in front of my audience. They will pay for that. YouTube will pay to place ads on these videos. And I can create my own courses if I want to. There's a lot of ways to monetize once you build the audience. So that is the one skill that I think everyone needs to learn how to do. And the only way to learn how to do it is to do it. And that is build an audience on YouTube. That's where I would start. Now, the number one thing that I see that holds people back is overwhelm. They don't know where to start. It seems confusing. Well, that's why I created this video right here. It's the number one side hustle, which is building an audience, by the way, and how to turn that into passive income for life. Watch that video next. It'll break it down, make it super simple, and I'll see you there.